Hey everyone, you're watching Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Settle in, because every twist and whisper you've been reading about is unpacked right here. If you enjoy stories like this, remember to subscribe and share so you don't miss what comes next. For days, the rumor mill has been roaring about Ozan Akbaba, stacking headline upon headline with claims that threaten to shake everything he and Sinem Ünsal have built. Late last night, Ozan finally stepped forward with a declaration that cut through all the noise. After keeping quiet and refusing to be dragged into the frenzy, he decided to speak from the heart, shutting down every insinuation with words that left no room for doubt. In his message, he made it unmistakably clear that his feelings haven't wavered. Sinem Ünsal is the person he holds closest, and the idea of promising himself to anyone else has never even crossed his mind. As he put it, Sinem is the only one he sees when he looks ahead, no past, no alternatives, no second guesses. The whispers that had been piling up online in recent weeks, claims that Ozan was secretly seeing someone other than her, split the audience into camps and pushed fans into a maze of uncertainty. The couple's supporters had been waiting to hear from him, anxiously refreshing their feeds and hoping for clarity. When the silence finally broke, it did so with certainty. Ozan's statement wasn't timid or evasive. It was deliberate, measured, and unmistakably personal, and it immediately climbed to the top of every trending topic. People close to the situation had sensed a shift even before the statement dropped. According to those who've been near Ozan lately, the constant chatter was beginning to invade quiet places in his life, those moments between scenes, the evenings after long days, the short breaths in crowded hallways where he used to find calm. He grew tired of letting speculation decide the narrative, especially when it started brushing against Sinem's name. On set, he was described as tense but resolute, carrying a sort of steady courage that didn't need theatrics to be felt. He took his time, chose his words, and then released them like a drawn bow, finally letting the arrow fly. As for Sinem, she has always had that poised grace that doesn't try to prove itself. Those who know her say she met the storm with patience, knowing what was real and trusting it would speak for itself. After Ozan's words went public, friends say her first reaction wasn't shock or triumph, but a quiet exhale. Relief, yes, but also a sense that their bond had weathered something important and found itself still intact, maybe even stronger. Their relationship has been one of the most captivating stories in entertainment lately. Two professionals with their own rhythms, two people whose chemistry pulled focus whether they were on camera or somewhere unnoticed. And last night, his clarity didn't just dampen the fire of gossip, it threw a spotlight on the very thing rumors kept circling, their connection, grounded and real. Social media went into overdrive the moment Ozan's declaration hit the feeds. The tag Ozan Sinem was suddenly everywhere, quickly rising among the most discussed topics. Thousands of comments poured in within minutes, a flood of reactions that alternated between swooning admiration and intense debate. Many praised the courage and tenderness of the moment, calling it timelessly romantic. Others dissected every word, saying that while the line drew a protective circle around Sinem, it also hinted at something bigger than a simple refutation of gossip. Something like a promise, a step forward, a new chapter that wasn't just whispered about but finally acknowledged out loud. And so a single question began skating across every headline: was Ozan's statement just a defense, or did it mark the beginning of a more permanent future? Could this be the first hint of a proposal, a leap towards something official and enduring, a milestone the public has been waiting to celebrate? Inside fan communities, the theories multiplied. Some swore this was the precursor to an announcement, an engagement, or perhaps a project shared on screen that would make their chemistry official in another way entirely. In the wake of that bold declaration, whispers behind closed doors started weaving their own narrative. Those who've worked closely with Ozan claim he wanted to leave no cracks for speculation to slip through, determined to protect not just his image, but the trust he shares with Sinem. Friends say he was permanently within reach of his phone during filming breaks, making sure Sinem was updated with every twist of the story, and admitting how exhausting the noise had become. Not because it bothered him alone, but because the sanctity of their peace mattered more than any headline could suggest. The ripple effect wasn't confined to gossip sites. The industry itself leaned in. Producers and directors who have an eye for public energy started taking notes, weighing timing and audience sentiment, observing how the pair's synergy could be harnessed on screen. There are even murmurs that a couple of projects have been subtly adjusted to ride the wave, allowing space for what audiences are clearly hungry to see. One producer, speaking off the record but with unmistakable enthusiasm, reportedly said that Ozan and Sinem are the pair people cannot stop watching, whether they're in the same frame or simply mentioned together. Their connection, it seems, doesn't just translate, it multiplies. Those close to Sinem describe her perspective since the statement as even more composed than before. She is said to be incredibly protective of what's meaningful, grateful for the calm she's carved out, and intentional about which public moments she chooses. Recently, she has been careful about how she moves through the media's gaze. It isn't fear, friends say, it's wisdom. Even when the stories got louder and messier, she didn't let cynicism take root. She believed Ozan would speak when the time was right, and he did. The atmosphere this week has had that particular electricity that hovers right before a reveal. Fans are calling it, talking about the future with confidence, not just hope. For many, Ozan's words sounded like more than defiance. They sounded like direction. In comments, in edits, in whispered threads, you could feel it, people believe we're at the edge of an announcement. Whether it's a new project that puts them side by side or a personal decision that promises forever, they want the next milestone, and they want it soon. At the same time, all of this has made their daily lives even more closely watched. Ozan's calendar has been full, long days, demanding nights, rarely an hour that isn't spoken for. Sinem's workload has grown too, her commitments expanding with each month, and yet people close to them insist they are still finding ways to disappear into each other's days. Short drives after midnight. Breakfast before dawn. Walks designed to look ordinary enough that no one would think to look twice. The idea, some say, isn't to hide but to protect. Their time is real, steady, and that steadiness doesn't need to be photographed to exist. Naturally, not everyone wants to see the story settle into something sweet. A handful of columnists have suggested that every rumor is engineered to cling to their popularity, that doubt attaches itself to bright lights. But even those voices have had to acknowledge the resilience both have shown. For all the noise, Ozan's message didn't wobble. It shielded not only him, but also Sinem, and it put their bond at the center of the conversation. Their friends don't just describe loyalty. They point to it, small gestures and everyday acts that testify louder than any caption, promises kept behind the curtain while cameras are looking the other way. Meanwhile, the internet remains a tapestry of reactions. Fans have gone full detective, combing through old photos, zooming in on rings, background lights, reflections in car windows, each detail tested for meaning. Edits set to bittersweet soundtracks rack up millions of views. Messages pile up, some teasing, some protective, many simply grateful that love, when real, chose to speak. The tag hashtag #OzanSinem is still climbing whenever new content appears, fed by fan clubs and casual onlookers alike. Across all of it runs a belief that what we're watching isn't a fleeting moment born from a scandal. It feels like a roadmap to something lasting. From the earliest days of their connection, people have tried to label it, co-stars, friends, partners, soulmates. Labels have never mattered to them as much as the day-to-day. Even now, with the spotlight burning brighter than ever, their circle says the plan hasn't changed. Focus on the work. Protect the personal. And when the time is right, share what needs to be shared. Ozan's statement fits that pattern perfectly, neither rushed nor delayed, neither inflammatory nor guarded. It was simply true. Insiders hint that the days leading up to the declaration were intense. One account describes Ozan sitting alone in a quiet room after a long day, reading and rereading drafts, adjusting a phrase here, softening a line there, searching for a balance between candor and simplicity. Those present say the final version felt like him, uncomplicated, grounded, devoted. And when he hit send, it was less like a performance and more like a promise. In a landscape where trends shift hourly and attention spans splinter, what made last night different was not the timing or the drama, but the sincerity. There was no spectacle, no choreography, just someone choosing to stand beside the person he loves while everyone was watching. And that, perhaps, is why the echo of his words hasn't faded yet. It's one thing to rebut a rumor. It's another to map out where you intend to go. And so the question that refuses to sit quietly remains. Is the next step closer than we think? Conversations in production offices, late-night exchanges in group chats, hints left like breadcrumbs on the margins of schedules, the signs are there if you want to believe them. Maybe it's an announcement that formally aligns their paths on screen. Maybe it's an intimate moment that becomes public only when they decide to share it. Either way, the set around them feels ready, like a stage moments before the curtain rises. The last few days have shown us something important. When rumor challenged them, they didn't fracture. When speculation tried to tug them apart, they stayed in rhythm. And when it came time to speak, they let love, quiet, certain love, take the lead. Whether you see this as a grand romantic gesture or the beginning of a lifelong commitment, one thing is clear, the story isn't over. If anything, it has just found its voice. For now, all eyes will remain fixed on Ozan and Sinem, waiting for that next sign, that shared moment, that unmistakable reveal. Will we see them step forward arm in arm at an event that turns whispers into cheers? Will a new project place them side by side, letting their private ease translate into scenes that audiences will replay for years? Or will it be something smaller, a photograph that needs no caption because the emotion on their faces will say everything? Until that answer arrives, fans will keep revisiting last night's words, playing them back like a favorite song. There's a power in hearing what you hoped was true spoken plainly. There's comfort in the idea that even in an industry that thrives on surprise, devotion can still be simple. And there's excitement, undeniable, sparkling excitement, in sensing that the next chapter is already turning its first page. We'll be right here, watching the story unfold with you. If you don't want to miss the moment they decide to let the world in a little further, make sure you're subscribed to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and share this video with someone who's been following their journey. The countdown to what comes next has already begun, and when it arrives, you'll hear it here first.